Welcome to the Educators podcast. Today's conversation is from Manila, from Bangalore, and we are discussing teenagers and how do you create the transition from parenting to friendship, and how do you maintain parenting while you do this transition. So not completely moving from a parent to a friend, but staying a parent and a friend that know how to draw limits and lines as your children get older. So enjoy the episode. Hi, Manila. You're joining me for Bangalore today, right?
Yes, I'm from Bangalore. Hi, lovely meeting you on screen.
Same here, same here. So, Manila, what me and the audience actually want to learn from you is how to become better educators, whether you are parenting or principals or teachers or whatever. But before we even dive into it, my first question is always, how did you become an educator?
When I completed my graduation, my parents said teaching is the best profession for girls. No, I was born and brought up in a small village. I think that time they felt, teaching is the only profession. And when teachers used to ask us in school, how many of you want to become teachers? We all used to put the hands up. Now, same question, if I ask my current students of senior school, nobody will put their hands up. But in the lower classes, they prefer to become teachers. But in the seniors, they don't want to become teachers. They want to join a profession which will fetch them more money. It is like that. So a teaching profession is which needs to give you self-satisfaction. That is very important. And it's like a call, where you are creating the students for the society. So when we talk about educated, is not necessarily be that you are very strong at the content that you're going to teach, that you have to be there because you have been studying for so many years, you're making professional degrees out of the courses that you're doing. So you need to be definitely strong. But at the same time, we have to focus on children, that we are going to prepare the next generation, a society which will live happily. There should be good relationship, there should be respect for each other. They need to take care of the environment, they need to take care of um, the parents, the grandparents, the culture that we have been brought up. So these things are also very important, along with giving academic inputs.
So you're describing a very common conflict right now, or so-called conflict around the world, not only in India, where in one hand there is the force that is pushing for money. Let's have a very successful so-called career or financial career. Be a tech entrepreneur or a banker, whatever. On the same time, we know that the most important professions are actually different. Like I would say that if you want to look at the value of a society, a country, a strong country, just look 30 years before and see the quality of their teachers. Just for example, and it's true for artists, philosophers, many other things. So how do you balance this in school when I'm sure you have a force that says, be the best in economics, and then somebody says writing a book, needs to write a book, something like this.
Yeah. Now, in fact, see, when the children come to school, they keep in mind their career that they want to pursue later. So we tell the children, career definitely needs to be pursued. You do it. But at the same time, you cannot live in isolation. You are going to work in an office where there are a lot of people. So your communication skill needs to be developed. You need to have team building qualities. Then, of course, it is not only the office. You have to make a family. You'll have a spouse, you'll have children, you have in-laws. You need to have that kind of rapport with them. That means you need to develop those skills which you are required to support the family. Then you're also living in a society. So it is not only your house, you're communicating with your neighbors and your people who are there around. So you need to have those skills as well, along with the career that you're going to opt for. So we tell them balance it. So it is not only the marks alone that takes you further, it is the other skills like your leadership qualities, the problem solving skills, the communication skills. These things are very, very essential for the success. If you see the current generation, I think these skills are very important for them to be successful.
And you're calling from Bangalore. Bangalore, for the international audience that might not know, is like the Silicon Valley of
Yes,
India. It's a very, very techy, and
correct.
assumingly most of the parents are also techies.
Very correct.
How does this influence the educational system, if it does?
I have about, I think 98, 99% of my parents are all from IT industry here. And children are also with a lot of, that kind of mindset. They're very good at technology.
Mhm.
But I always tell for technology, to start a technology work anywhere, you need a human intervention. Otherwise, technology by itself doesn't work. You need somebody to give the commands and work like that. Uh, but when I see my generation and now, we used to spend a lot of time interacting with people because we did not have gadgets in hand. Whereas the current generation of students, they interact very less. They may interact on WhatsApp or chat and something like that, but face to face eye contact interaction is very, very less. I think that one they need to develop, whatever it is, whatever the technological advancement that we are going to do. We need to have human relationship also. That is what I'm insisting in school. I do talk to the teachers. I say, don't give up on that, because children should know. Because these days, a single child can sit for hours together and playing the mobile, and he doesn't feel bored at all. But we are not going to look for that kind of a society in the future. So if you do not train them, do not correct them, they will continue the same thing. So we need to our intervention is definitely required, but that needs to be done with a very diplomatical way, not to hurt the feeling of the person, but at the same time, things are worked out. So a
Mhm.
lot of counselings are required. These days, parenting has become very difficult. It is difficult for the parents to take care of that one or two children. But in the school, we see so many kids, and teachers are competent enough to handle the large numbers.
Oh, you're touching something interesting. So you're saying parenting became harder, or more challenging. I don't know. You can explain me in a
Yes,
second.
yes.
And so how does this change your work in school?
Yeah. Why I'm telling parenting is difficult is because especially after pandemic, after 3 years of children, 2 years, our children were away from school. Children have, logged into various sites. They have seen so many things which they're not supposed to see and hear at that particular age. So there are a lot of questions in the minds of the children which are not answered. Otherwise, what happened when they come to school, they interact with the peers and a lot of the questions getting answered. So now that the children were away from us, the interaction has become less. So we took definitely the 1 year, the next immediately after the pandemic was a little challenging for most of the schools, because the behavioral habit, the thinking ability of these children were all disturbed. And parents also now they come and say, my good habits of my children have spoiled. All day they're on the phone. If you talk to them and tell them don't use, they get so angry. They run to the room and they shut the door and sit there. They don't speak to us. They don't interact. Whenever we want to go out, they don't want to come with us. So these are the challenges which parents never faced that much before. But now it is difficult. And these days, what happened? Children, especially the adolescents, they love to interact only with their peers. They want to listen to them rather than talking to the parents or any adult who always judgmental. So they want to spend more time with their peers. So we are working on mental health of adolescents, and my research is definitely on that. I do a lot of time I spend with adolescents to understand which are the areas they find it very difficult, and what needs to be done, how to communicate to the parents, how to reach out to them. So I do work on those issues here in school, and try to involve both the parents as well as the adolescents.
Mhm. Um, you know, it's interesting. Like I founded two educational company. One is a lip learner that teach children how to code, and another one is rebooks. That's why we know each other. And I know that you have more than 300 students that published books in
Yes.
your school, which is a astonishing amount for one school. And you are in a techie environment. So was it hard to get so many children to publish book? Did it came to them natural? Like how did it's you clearly turn writing books into part of the culture of the school. That's very obvious. How did you do
Yes.
that?
Um, It's a good question, because now a lot of technology is in. Children will prefer to read, rather than write. But we have something called library period for the children right from kindergarten, where we give them a book and tell them to read it. Or sometimes if they find it difficult to read, we tell them we have a cohort, or maybe a leader is selected, he reads. And during holidays also, we issue the books for the children. Okay, take it home, have, read the books and come. We also, it is not with the children, I encourage the teachers to read, because those teachers will encourage the students to read. So we have avid reader award for the teachers, where we celebrate Teachers Day in the month of September, 5th September. So I award those teachers who read a lot of books, and I have a data, it is documented in the school library. So librarian will tell them these are the teachers who visit our library very often, and these are the books that they've read, and things like that. So based on that, we encourage the teachers. So they need not be library teachers, they can be any subject teachers. So I tell them, don't read the books that are pertaining to your subject, you must read something else. So the something else only are counted, not related to their subject matter. So they in turn, because these are the teachers, are the class teachers of various classes, so they will encourage the children to read the books. It's not only the librarians. Librarians do extremely good job when the children get back to the library, because that is the focused time for the children, where they are encouraged to write the books, not only the books, to make a bookmark, to make the cover page, or if there is a story, they tell them, okay, this is the ending for the story. Now you create your own ending. I also encourage a lot of authors to visit my school, and many authors do come. And there are some authors who say, I have written a book and this is the ending that I've given. I want you all to think and give me a different ending, and the best ending will be chosen, and that will be put in the book. So it's a motivation for the children to come forward and write. And these children are brilliant. They're brilliant lot, and their thinking capacity is something different. So I think that helped me to increase the number. And believe me, these are 300 plus. I will definitely have more than 1,000 children who are already interested in this. But 300 plus are, chosen as authors. But we have good number of students.
Yeah, by the way, when I'm saying 300 for the people watching us, I mean, those are 300 people that actually published, that went all the way and completed the book and started to sell and sold books. Like this is, it's not people that it's not children just started to write. Okay. So I actually want to say a little bit more about Rebooks, because I have a question. When we started Rebooks, like every tech company, we have this vision of make books accessible for children, writing books and publishing. That's because of my personal experience. And then of course we were thinking about the business model. And we end up in the, after the writing process, and I remember the debate, and I said to my team, let the children sell their books. And the reaction from my team, my initial reaction was, writing is education, but selling is ugh. And I said, no. I said, like, this is probably as important educational experience as writing, because when I develop a startup, when we develop any product, it's not enough just to create it. It's you need to have the skill to interact with other people. That's exactly what you said before. Yeah. And sell your product. That gives you a sense of value, and it can give you a full lecture about it. Now, how did you deal with that in the school? Because I know that there are some schools that are saying, we're just doing the writing, and there's some schools that are encouraging their students to do like public readings on Zoom, like meeting with authors, doing book fairs, like like the one in Brooklyn, when we send a lot of books that they actually, and it's very difficult. It's like once just to sit and write, it's a very simple skill. To go and face people and say, this is my book, let me read it to you, you should buy it. It's a completely different skill, and you need both. Yes. How do you deal with this in school?
I should encourage children to, put the books on shelf for sale. Definitely, because see, every work that we do, I think we need to get some kind of a remuneration where children will get motivated to write many books, because the moment they know there are a group of people who like my writing, so they will be encouraged and motivated to do more, because every book that we are publishing, there is some kind of remuneration that we need to put into that. And it can be entrepreneur activity as well, where they can choose their career to become an author. So we can definitely encourage. So these are the jobs, with the children are looking forward. These are the new kind of jobs that are coming to the market. So I think we have to encourage, because we develop a lot of entrepreneurial skills in children. So it is not only, becoming doctor and engineer, things like that. So we tell the children, if you're very good at it, choose that line. So you are satisfied and you do extremely well in that area.
Like I think you're touching the right point. In the if you look at skills of the future, in my opinion, you need to be rounded. You need
Very
to
true.
have the ability to be an engineer, an author, and a
Correct.
marketer all
Correct.
together to some level.
Correct.
And by the way, you have kids in your school that sold hundreds of copies. It's like I checked. So a lot of them are becoming like mini
Yes.
entrepreneurs, but it is very interesting with rebooks that we can see, and I'm saying globally, for some children, it's very easy to go into the writing path. That's what interests them. For some children, they are not even that interesting, but they are very interesting in the selling path because they want to be very successful financially. It's like being a vlogger or whatever. And then you have the children that can do both and can start those huge movements and social movements, which I find scary. So now I have few more questions that I tend to ask, and I'm really curious. So you meet a new teacher in your school. First day, they just joined your team. What
Mhm.
advice do you give them?
I tell them to be humane. I always tell them you're excellent in a subject matter, because the very fact that you have chosen you, that means you're good at it, delivering the content. But at the same time, understand these kids are human. So you need to develop the human approach to them. And you see, we are teachers, are role models. How I deal with the children pick up those qualities from me. So I always tell the teachers, be humble, be humane first, and then you start.
And that's wonderful. And what advice would you give to the children on the first day? And I know some of their children, they're very small when they arrive. So let's say advice that you give kids as they go, let's say, into middle school.
Any particular class you're talking about, or across?
No, just
We
like
have
you
children
meet
from
you
3
meet the
years to
children in
18
the
years.
yeah.
Because when the kindergarten comes in, so I bring in some kind of animations in the schools, some people wearing those costumes and being around with
Mm.
the children, to tell them these are the happy schools. We want children to be happy in school. And we do a lot of activities, not only the academic, sports, plenty of sports and extracurricular activities. So we tell the children, when the opportunities are there, grab them and make use of these opportunities, so that you grow and be successful. And we tell them, this is your second home, you're coming from your home, and your teachers are like your parents. So anything that you require, anything that you want, please reach out to them. And of course, parents also are great support to us. See, it is a joint venture, both parents and teachers put together. So our parents also are really a backbone for us, along with the management that we are working with, school management, who provide with a lot of facilities.
Mhm. And how do you, if you had to change one thing in the way we educate or parent, it doesn't need to be in school, uh, what it would be. And again, it doesn't need to be in your school. This is like we have a very global audience. So think about something that as educator, as parents, you think it's like really critical that will start changing to in some form of way.
um, at the moment, since I'm dealing with adolescents, I want parents, the way they think about the adolescents, that they need to change. Because when the children are adolescents, you cannot be like a parent and child relationship. You need to have a friendly relationship, because that is the age where the children, their thinking abilities are changing, they physically they are changed, and a lot of hormonal imbalance. So they are also going through a lot of conflict situation. So at that time, parents should understand these adolescents and deal with them like friends, rather than all the time shouting and getting behind them. They need to be friends with them, so that children feel very comfortable to reach out to the parents in case they have any difficulty, because it is only the parents who are there with their children lifelong. Of course, in India it is like this. Even if the child is married, still the son stays with the parent. It is like that. So the children are there with the parents throughout. So I think parents have to keep that in mind, not to get behind the students if they've done something wrong. Children will do wrong, but we have to understand them, excuse them, tell them not to repeat, but can always excuse and help them out.
How do you find the balance between being a friend of your child? Because, some parents just become friends and they stop parenting. So how do you find the balance between becoming a friend and a parent in the same time?
See, even in the school, what we say for teachers also, you be friendly, but at the same time, you should know where to draw a line. You need to be assertive in your answer. No means no. It cannot be yes. So you need to be very firm in your decision, but give an opportunity for the children to speak and change. But I think we should know where to draw a line.
Yeah, I always tell parents that in Israel we are in a very chaotic environment. Like, children are very wild, let's call it this way. So I always explain that we have, like, for me at least, there is like 2 red lines. And if you cross those 2 red lines, oh my God, this is like the end of the world. But between them, it can be a jungle. You can do whatever you want in the jungle.
Yes.
Interesting. So last question. We see around the world the very difference between very, let's call it, wealthy schools, or schools that have access to excellent teachers, and schools that are losing those teachers, etc. How can we as a world, and this is not school level, this is not even an India level, how can we balance and make sure that we don't, especially with technology, that the educational system doesn't, just creates people that have everything and people that have nothing?
In fact, our school caters to the students who are, where the income level is somewhere in between, not for the very rich one. But of course, we have a lot of children here who have financial problems, and we do support them from the management side. They are given a special concession and discount in the fees. And every child who is in the school is exposed to the technology, because technology is the one which is going to live. And if you rob the technology by not providing to the children, we are not going to make them, ready for the future. So we prepare them right from the kindergarten. And AI is there now. So we have started right from standard 6, where the children learn. They create certain robots and things like that, even in the school level. But from 9th onwards, we have made it this subject as a compulsory subject, so the children learn the skills. This is one of the skill subject that our CBSE board, which has introduced. So we have given this to the children. So I think every child and every teacher who is studying in our school is equipped with, to know how to handle the technology, but in different levels. But in India, of course, even in the rural areas, urban areas, a lot of technology has been given by the government. Where especially when we had pandemic, even the rural areas, children and the teachers were able to use the technology. So everything got disturbed, but education did not get disturbed in India. When the pandemic happened, it went on. So teachers did a brilliant job across India, even in urban, rural areas. And the teachers who were not at all used to technology learned it and started using it. So they are all hands-on now. So they're trying to improvise on that.
Interesting. So what you're telling me is that, and I agree, that the equalizer is access to technology. Yes. And if you give access to technology, you can create fairly good education, and without it, it's very, very difficult. Manila, thank you very, very much. I highly appreciate it, and I'm sure our audience will love learning from your experience. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. It's lovely interacting with you. Thank you so much for having me online.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.